Hello everyone, welcome. This is Sanjeevni Nayak, and in this video, I'm going to explain the mechanism of photosynthesis. Now, I'm very sure that everyone knows what is photosynthesis, right? We have studied this from childhood. Photosynthesis is the process by which plant prepares their own food. Green plant prepares their own food. Now the question is how and what is the food prepared? So that is what we have to understand in this particular video. So let us begin. If you have not subscribed the channel, subscribe it and hit the bell icon so as to get the updates. So let us continue. Now, to perform photosynthesis or to prepare food, plant needs some raw material. कुछ तो चाहिएगा ना फूड बनाने के लिए कुछ तो like an example if you want to cook vegetable if you want to cook food okay you'll need some raw materials vegetables चाहिए then बाद में rice चाहिए etc. Okay, so similarly plant also needs some raw material and the raw material is water and carbon dioxide. Water is absorbed by the roots from the soil and it is transported to the different parts of the plant and it reaches to the leaves by xylem. Okay, so xylem is the conducting tissue. It is the vascular tissue which is responsible for conducting water to each and every part of the plant. And leaf is that particular part which is going to prepare the food. In fact, not only leaf, the green parts of the plant prepare the food. Now, why green part? Because green part has green pigment called as chlorophyll, which is necessary for this process. So let us understand like what is photosynthesis and how does it occur. Okay, so we know that plant needs water, which is absorbed by the roots and it is transported to the leaf. This transportation is carried out by xylem. Now leaves also need to prepare food. It also needs carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is taken from the atmosphere. Now to take carbon dioxide from atmosphere, leaves have minute pores on them. And these minute pores are called as stomata, which is usually closed, but only during daytime the stomata opens. So you can see this singular, this pore is called as stoma. So there are many minute pores spread all over the leaf, that is upper epidermis and lower epidermis. And these stomata opens during daytime so as to take carbon dioxide. Now to understand opening and closing of stomata, the mechanism by which stomata opens and closes, check my previous video and the link is available in the description box. So this stomata, when it opens during daytime, carbon dioxide from the air is absorbed. Carbon dioxide enters in the leaf. Leaf has already taken water. Water reaches to the leaf cells. And leaf, we know, leaf contains chlorophyll. Okay. This particular carbon dioxide and water will be used to produce food in the presence of light, that is during daytime. So chlorophyll basically absorbs the light. See, to prepare food, not only raw material, but energy is required and the energy is obtained from the sun. It is the solar energy which is used for preparing food by the green parts of the plant. So chlorophyll absorbs sunlight and carbon dioxide and carbon dioxide and water is converted into glucose. Glucose is the food which is produced. Along with glucose, there are some other products produced such as oxygen and some amount of water. So this oxygen and water are the byproduct of this particular process. So simply photosynthesis is the process in which green parts of the plant, which contains chlorophyll, absorbs light and converts carbon dioxide, water into glucose, oxygen and water. So food is produced by this particular process and this is the basic general idea of photosynthesis. I hope it is very clear. Now this food, that is glucose, which is prepared by the green part of the plant, will this food be used only by the green plants? No, of course, other parts of the plant also needs food, right? So this glucose, which is produced by leaves, is transported to the rest part of the plant by phloem. So phloem is the second conducting tissue which is responsible for transporting food to the different parts of the plant. Okay, so this is photosynthesis. Now general equation for photosynthesis. So here you can see the general equation of photosynthesis, which says 6 carbon dioxide reacts with 12 water molecule in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll to produce one glucose molecule. Here, this is the formula of glucose, C6H12O6. So, one glucose molecule, 6 oxygen and 6 water molecule. So, this is the process, that is photosynthesis, and general equation of photosynthesis, which is very important for you to remember. Okay, and this condition has to be mentioned, sunlight and chlorophyll. Yes, of course, plant needs carbon dioxide and water, but this carbon dioxide and water is converted into glucose, oxygen, water only in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. So you will have to write the sunlight and chlorophyll on arrow. Okay, now this particular process is the most significant life process on earth. This process is the process which is responsible for sustaining life on earth. This process is necessary for survival of each and every organism, and the reason is glucose and oxygen is produced in this process. Glucose is the food which is not only used by plant, but all the other organisms are directly or indirectly dependent for food on plants. Okay, like an example, you can see herbivores directly eat plants, so they get food directly from the plants. Carnivores eat herbivores, so carnivores get food from herbivores, which was actually obtained from the plant. Okay, so all the organism on earth is directly or indirectly dependent for food on plants, on green plants. Okay, so food ke liye dependent hai, photosynthesis providing food to all the living thing on earth. Secondly, it is also providing oxygen, which is necessary for survival, right? Oxygen is required by each and every organism to survive, to produce energy. So oxygen is also provided by this process, is produced in this process, that is photosynthesis. Okay, so now let us understand where exactly photosynthesis occurs. Okay, general idea, I gave you the general idea. What is photosynthesis and what is the significance of photosynthesis? Now, photosynthesis exactly occurs in the leaf cells, not only leaf cell, in fact, green part of the plant. So it can be stem, green stem, or leaf. Okay, so leaf cells have something called as mesophyll. If you remember, you have studied, there is a layer present between upper epidermis and lower epidermis called as mesophyll cells, and these mesophyll cells contains the chloroplast, contains many chloroplast, and chloroplast are the cell organelle which are responsible for photosynthesis. Now, to understand the structure of leaf, vertical section of leaf, you check my previous video and description, you can find it in the link, you can find it in the description box. So let us understand. So mesophyll cells and chloroplast is not only present in mesophyll cells, but it is also present in guard cells which encloses stomata, right? So let us study the structure of chloroplast. Now, whatever I'm teaching now is as per the ICSE syllabus. Okay, so let us continue. So structure of chloroplast. Now chloroplast is that cell organelle where exactly photosynthesis occurs. मतलब kitchen हम बोल सकते हैं, जहाँ पर photosynthesis, जहाँ पर carbon dioxide, water use होगा, light energy absorb होगा, and photosynthesis process carry out होगा. Okay, so that kitchen, let us understand the structure of kitchen. So structure of chloroplast. Actually, it is not correct to call it as kitchen, but ठीक है, just for understanding purpose, correlate करने के लिए, we can consider it as kitchen, but don't write us anywhere it as a kitchen. Okay, so this is the chloroplast, structure of chloroplast. Now if you see chloroplast, it is oval shaped cell organelle. If you talk about the number, each cell contains approximately around 30 to 40, or in fact more than that, chloroplast, around 30 to 50 chloroplast. Okay, in fact, there are some cells which even contains around 5 lakhs of chloroplasts. So the number of chloroplasts completely differs. Now, this chloroplast is oval shaped and it is surrounded by two membranes, the outer membrane and the inner membrane. Okay. Now, inside this chloroplast, there is a ground substance. The ground substance, or the, we can say, fluid which is present, gel-like substance which is not exactly fluid, the gel-like substance which is present is called as stroma, or simply the matrix is called as stroma. And the stroma contains circular DNA and ribosome and other organic substances. Now, there is one simply general knowledge kind of thing I'll give you. This chloroplast is also called as autonomous cell organelle. Autonomous because it is self-regulating. Autonomous simply means self-regulating. It can control itself. It can produce its own enzymes and proteins. And the reason is because it has its own DNA and ribosome. DNA, which has the code for production of protein, code for protein. And ribosome is the cell organelle where protein is produced. Okay. Protein synthesis occur in ribosome. So this is just general knowledge. If you don't remember, that is absolutely okay for ICSE student. So this chloroplast, if you see this chloroplast, inside the stroma, there are stack of disc-like structure. Now this disc which you see is called as thylakoid. So the flattened disc-like or coin-like structure is called thylakoid. And the stack simply means एक के ऊपर एक ऐसा thylakoid present है. Okay. So this stack of thylakoid, the group of thylakoid is called as granum. So the pile of thylakoid is called as granum. And there are many granum present in stroma. Okay. Now these granum is the singular term. So many granum, all granum together we'll call it as grana. So grana is found in stroma. Okay. Grana, what is grana? Grana is the stack of thylakoid. Okay. Now this grana is interconnected. They are connected to each other. And this interconnecting membrane or this interconnecting lamella is called as fret membrane or simply fret. Okay. Now miss, this is the structure of chloroplast. This is how chloroplast looks and exactly what are the components of chloroplast you understood. Now miss, where exactly photosynthesis occur? कहाँ पर होता है और कैसे होता है? That is what we have to understand next. अच्छा, do we remember we say that chloroplast contains chlorophyll? Yes. So where exactly chlorophyll is present? Miss, अभी तक आपने chlorophyll के बारे में बताया ही नहीं. नहीं. Okay. So chlorophyll is the pigment, green color pigment, which is actually found in the walls of thylakoid. So thylakoid का यहाँ पर तुम देख सकते हो green, dark green wall जो हमको दिख रहा है. This wall will contain chlorophyll, which gives it green pigment. Okay, so this is all about the structure of chloroplast. Let us understand the process, mechanism of photosynthesis. Now, photosynthesis, entire process, we wrote in one step reaction, but it actually doesn't occur in one step, it occurs in multiple steps. So let us understand. So we'll classify this entire process, we'll divide this process into two phases. The first phase is called as light phase, or it is even called Hill's reaction, or it is called photochemical phase. Why? I'll explain one by one. Light phase, because it is light dependent reaction. It is the chemical reaction which occurs in this phase needs solar energy, sunlight, or simply light. So it is called as light phase. Okay. So it needs light, it includes light dependent reaction. And this light phase of photosynthesis occurs in thylakoids of grana in chloroplast. So exact location of this chemical reaction or where the light phase occur is in thylakoid. So it occurs in thylakoids. Second phase is called as dark phase, or it is even called Kelvin cycle, or it is called biosynthetic phase. Now the reason of calling it as dark phase is because it does not need light. In fact, it should be called, better is to call light independent phase or light, because here the reaction which occurs does not need light. That doesn't mean that it is going to occur at dark. It simply means it doesn't need any light. It occurs independent of light, or simply reactions are independent of light. So light independent reaction occurs in the stroma. So the matrix is that part of the chloroplast where the dark phase or simply light independent phase is going to take place, or simply light independent reaction takes place. So there are two phases of photosynthesis. One is light phase and second is dark phase. Light phase is called light because it needs light. It occurs only in the presence of light. Dark phase is called dark because it does not need light. ऐसा नहीं बोलेंगे कि it occurs in dark. It does not need light. Okay. Light phase is also called as Hill's reaction. It is given, this name is on the basis of the person who actually discovered this particular reaction. Okay, Robert Hill. Okay, so scientist के basis पे हमने नाम दे दिया Hill's reaction. It is called photochemical phase. Photo because it is occurring in the presence of light. Okay, photo means light, and chemical phase, that is chemical reaction, occurs in the presence of light. Dark phase is called dark. Why you know? Kelvin cycle, because it was discovered by Melvin Kelvin. So Kelvin was the scientist who discovered the reactions occurring in this second phase, that is dark phase. And it is called biosynthetic phase because it is the phase where exactly glucose is produced. So this phase is the phase where glucose is produced. Okay, so let us understand one by one what is exactly light phase, what reaction occurs in this light phase and dark phase. Okay, so let us study the phases. The first phase, that is light phase. So the light phase which occurs in thylakoid. So you can see here the magnified thylakoid, and the outer part is called as stroma. And this thylakoid, this part is called as wall of thylakoid, and the inner cavity is called lumen. Now we know that this thylakoid, if you remember, I told you chlorophyll is present in the wall of thylakoid. So this wall contains chlorophyll. So the exact location of chlorophyll is the wall of thylakoid of chloroplast. Okay. Now if we talk about chlorophyll, let us understand about chlorophyll. This chlorophyll is a compound which contains carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and very important, it contains a central atom, that is magnesium. So it contains magnesium element. Okay, along with carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen. Now this chlorophyll, if we talk about the chlorophyll, there are actually 9 types of chlorophyll, which includes chlorophyll A, B, C, D, E. There is bacteriochlorophyll. Okay, so these are some types of chlorophyll, out of which chlorophyll A and B is the most abundant chlorophyll found in plants. So the amount of chlorophyll, or if we compare the chlorophyll present, all the types of chlorophyll, A and B is the maximum. Okay, so maximum amount type of chlorophyll which is there in plant is chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. Now, so let us begin. So the light phase, it begins with the light energy. So during daytime when sunlight falls, this chlorophyll absorbs the light energy in the form of photons and gets excited or gets activated. Now, Miss photon is simply energy packet. So light energy travels in the form of photon which is absorbed by chlorophyll. And as soon as chlorophyll absorbs the light energy, it gets excited or it gets activated. This step of light phase or this reaction is called as activation of chlorophyll. Now this activated chlorophyll, due to this activation of chlorophyll, water present in the lumen splits into hydrogen and oxygen. And hydrogen further releases electron to produce hydrogen ion. Now this oxygen, we know that this oxygen cannot be in single atomic form, right? It is a diatomic molecule. So to balance it, you can write it as 2 water molecule. It will split to produce 4 hydrogen ion, releases 4 electron, and 1 molecule of oxygen is produced. Now this is the oxygen which is released out. Okay, so plant, some part of the leaf will use oxygen for producing energy, and the rest oxygen, the extra oxygen produced, is released out, which actually supports the life on earth, right? So oxygen, if the question comes, question may be asked like oxygen is obtained from dash, carbon dioxide, water, both of these, none of these. So answer should be water. So it is obtained from water. Okay, and this step is called as photolysis of water. This reaction is called photolysis. Photo means light and lysis means breakdown. So photolysis of water simply means breakdown of water with the help of light energy. So light energy which was actually absorbed by chlorophyll, and due to which this water splits. Okay, so this is photolysis of water. Now this reaction was first discovered by Robert Hill, and so it is called as Hill's reaction. Now, let us understand what happens to this product. तो ये तो समझ आ गया कि oxygen will be released. Oxygen तो बाहर चला जाएगा. Okay. What about this hydrogen ion, electrons and energy? Energy is released when electrons are transferred. Okay, so the third step is photophosphorylation. Photophosphorylation simply means conversion of ADP into ATP. Now you might have heard this term ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Yes, exactly. The energy rich molecule, जिसको energy currency of the cell भी बोलते हैं. So this ATP is produced from ADP, that is adenosine diphosphate. Now, adenosine diphosphate, now what is it? You can see here in the diagram, it contains ribose sugar. So this is the ribose sugar. Then the second thing present over here is adenine, which is the nitrogenous base. So nitrogenous base and ribose sugar together, that is adenine and ribose sugar together, is called adenosine. And since there are two phosphate attached, it is called as adenosine diphosphate. Now, this adenosine diphosphate, that is ADP, and phosphate, many phosphate and many ADP molecules are present in stroma. It is found in stroma. Okay, it lies in the matrix. Now, this energy which is released from the electron is used to combine the phosphate with the second phosphate to produce ATP. So if you remember, we call this ATP as energy rich molecule because the energy is stored in this bond between the third phosphate and the second phosphate. And this process in which phosphate is added is called as phosphorylation. Since it needs or it uses energy released, or since it uses energy of the light energy, so it is called as photophosphorylation, or simply it occurs in the presence of light, so it is called as photophosphorylation. Okay, so photophosphorylation is the process in which ADP is converted into ATP using the light energy. Okay, so now here we understood energy is used up. Now let us understand what happens to this hydrogen and electrons. Now this hydrogen and electron leaves lumen, that is, it comes out of lumen. Okay, it comes out of thylakoid in stroma. And in stroma, there is one more molecule present called as NADP. And NADP is the molecule which is hydrogen, which is also called as hydrogen acceptor. It has ability to accept hydrogen ion. So the hydrogen ion produced in lumen moves out, or thylakoid moves out in stroma and is absorbed by NADP. Okay, so it is absorbed by NADP. Also electrons are absorbed. Electron be absorbed ho jayega. So one hydrogen ion and two electrons will be absorbed to produce NADPH. NADPH is reduced NADP, and the full form of NADP is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. It is very important for you to remember because full form पूछ सकते ADP का, ATP का, NADP का, NADPH का. ADP is adenosine diphosphate. ATP is adenosine triphosphate. NADP is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. Again, it is a molecule present in stroma. Okay. So, and it absorbs hydrogen and two electron, hydrogen ion and two electron to form NADPH. This NADPH is called reduced NADP. So, if the question is asked, like tumko agar pucha jaye, write full form of NADP. So, either you can write nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate hydrogen, or simply you can write reduced nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. Okay, so here we saw whatever is produced in thylakoid during the splitting of water molecule is converted into some or the other substance. So the two substance produced in this light reaction is, or the two product of light reaction is ATP, and second is NADPH. Of course, how can we forget the third one, that is oxygen. Oxygen is released out. Oxygen is released. Okay, now this product, that is ATP and NADPH, means abhi tak to food bana hi nahi, right? This ATP and NADPH, which is produced in the light phase, will be used in the next phase, that is light independent phase, to produce food, that is to produce glucose. How? We'll understand. So here you can see the overview of this light reaction. So light reaction occurs in 4 steps. First is activation of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll absorbs the light energy. any form of photons and gets activated. This activated chlorophyll, second step, this activated chlorophyll causes splitting of water molecule into hydrogen ion, electrons and oxygen. Okay. Now this splitting of water molecule is called as photolysis of water. Third step is photophosphorylation. So photophosphorylation is the process in which ADP is converted into ATP using the energy of light. And fourth step is reduction of NADP, that is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphates get reduced, that is absorbs hydrogen. Reduction reaction simply means absorption of hydrogen, right? So it gets reduced by absorbing hydrogen to form NADPH, that is reduced form of NADP. Okay, so this is the light phase. Now let us understand what exactly happens in the dark phase or light independent phase. So the product of light phase are oxygen, NADPH, ATP, right? Oxygen, it is released and NADPH and ATP is used in the next phase, that is dark phase or in the Kelvin cycle. Now carbon dioxide, which is taken from the atmosphere, which enters through stomata, is used up in this phase, that is in dark phase or light independent phase. It does not need energy, light energy. So this stage is called as light independent phase or it is called as dark phase. Now carbon dioxide enters in the series of chemical reaction. Okay, it is this series of chemical reaction which moves in the cyclic manner is called as Kelvin cycle because it was discovered, the series of reaction was discovered by Melvin Kelvin. Okay, the name of scientist. This is just a general knowledge for you. Now this carbon dioxide is absorbed. NADPH releases hydrogen. So hydrogen from the NADPH, energy from ATP is used up to convert this carbon dioxide into glucose. So carbon dioxide absorbs hydrogen from NADPH, uses energy from ATP and gets converted into glucose, that is C6H12O6, and the food is prepared. So see, we don't have detailed Kelvin cycle. This much only we have to study. Now what you can observe here is ATP, when it loses energy, it gets broken down into ADP and PI. PI is inorganic phosphate. Okay, so it gets broken down into adenosine diphosphate and phosphate. And NADPH, when loses hydrogen, it gets converted into NADP. Now these are the product of dark phase. This product of dark phase will be used up during light phase. So it will be used up during light phase. Example, जब energy release होगा, जब in the presence of light, जब chlorophyll light absorb करेगा, तो वो time पे पूरा process के time पे this ADP and PI will be converted back into ATP and NADP will be converted into NADPH. So in short, here what you have to understand is product of light phase is used in dark phase and product of dark phase is used in light phase. Is that clear? So this is all about the dark phase, or it very now the question may be asked like give reasons पूछ सकते हैं that it is better to call dark phase as light independent phase. Give reason. So because dark phase or it is the chemical reaction, is the series of chemical reaction which occurs without light or independent of light. It does not need light. So it is better to call it as light independent phase. Okay, it is also called biosynthetic phase because it is the bio means living thing and synthetic because it produces. Synthesis means simply production. Okay, manufacture. So since glucose is manufactured in this phase, it is also called as biosynthetic phase. So I hope you're clear with light phase and dark phase, or simply mechanism of photosynthesis. So photosynthesis, this is the general or the overall chemical equation of photosynthesis. Okay. Now let us understand what exactly happens with this product. Glucose, oxygen and water. इनका क्या होता है, इनका फेट क्या है, इनके नसीब में क्या है, आगे इनका क्या होने वाला है. Let us understand. तो सबसे पहले बात करते हैं ग्लूकोज की. Now this glucose is either used up by the leaf cells for producing energy. So if you remember respiration, okay, respiration is the process in which glucose is used up to produce energy, that is ATP. Okay, So respiration may either this particular glucose will be used in respiration or simply cells will use for producing energy, or it is converted into starch. It will be converted into starch and stored in the leaf cells. Okay. And third, it is converted into sucrose. It will be converted into sucrose. Now, sucrose is a sugar molecule which is transported through phloem. So we know that food is transported through phloem. Okay, so this glucose is actually first converted into sucrose and then it is transported, because glucose is very reactive. Okay, so जब तक ट्रांसपोर्ट करेगा तब तक वो सेल खुद ही यूज ना कर ले, इसीलिए पहले क्या होता है, दिस ग्लूकोज इज कन्वर्टेड इनटू सुक्रोज. एंड व्हाट इज सुक्रोज मेड ऑफ? सुक्रोज इज मेड ऑफ वन ग्लूकोज मॉलिक्यूल एंड वन फ्रक्टोज मॉलिक्यूल. मिस ये फ्रक्टोज कहाँ से आया? ये फ्रक्टोज ग्लूकोज का भाई है. Some glucose gets converted into fructose, and this fructose and glucose combines together to form sucrose, and sucrose is the sugar which is transported through phloem. So in short, if you want to understand, food is produced by plant in the form of glucose. Okay, it is transported in the form of sucrose and it is stored in the form of starch. मतलब ग्लूकोज सुक्रोज में कन्वर्ट होगा, सुक्रोज स्टार्च में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा. Okay, and fourth, it is converted or it is used for synthesizing other molecules such as fats है, यानी तो vitamins है, etc. So दूसरे molecules form करने के लिए glucose use हो जाएगा. So these मतलब glucose के साथ ये सारी कुछ हो सकता है. What happens to this oxygen? Oxygen is used up in respiration. Some amount of oxygen will be used up in respiration. Okay, so it is used in respiration. And second, the excess one will be released out. Okay, so this oxygen will be released out through stomata, which is available for living world. Okay, and this water becomes part of other water molecule present in cell. So this is all about the photosynthesis. I hope you understood this concept clearly. If you have any doubt, you can mention in the comment section. And if you like the video, give thumbs up and don't forget to hit the bell icon so as to be updated. Thank you very much. And if you have any doubt, feel free to ask me. And if you need explanation of a particular concept, you can mention it. I may try to cover it in my upcoming videos. Thank you very much.